The rain battered the prison's gray walls, a relentless drumbeat that drowned out the world beyond. Inside, Evelyn Harper sat in the visiting room, her heart pounding louder than the storm. She hadn't expected her sister, her twin, her mirror, her betrayer to walk through that door today. Evelyn's fingers traced the edge of the metal table, her hazel eyes fixed on the glass partition. 3 years in this Indiana penitentiary had hardened her edges, but not her heart. At 28, she'd learned to survive the cold cots, the whispered threats, and the endless monotony of prison life. But nothing could prepare her for Lila Monroe, her twin sister, stepping into the visiting room, her blonde hair catching the dim fluorescent light like a halo. The sister who'd once called her unnatural for loving a woman. The sister who hadn't visited once until now. Evelyn's breath caught. Lila's face was a map of guilt and something softer, something Evelyn hadn't seen since they were girls sharing secrets under the stars. She wanted to hate her. She wanted to scream. Instead, she pressed her palm against the glass, and Lila mirrored her, their fingertips inches apart but worlds away. "I didn't think you'd come," Evelyn said, her voice low, steady though her chest ached. Lila's lips trembled. "I didn't know if you'd want me to." The guard's boots echoed in the background, a reminder of the walls between them, literal and otherwise. Evelyn leaned closer, her jumpsuit scratching against her skin. "Why now, Lila? After all this time?" Lila's eyes dropped to the photograph in her hands, one Evelyn couldn't see clearly through the glass. "Because I found something," she whispered. "Something that changes everything." 3 years earlier, Evelyn's life had unraveled in a single night. She'd been a bartender in Indianapolis, pouring drinks and dodging drunken advances with a quick smile. Her real joy came after hours, when she'd slip into the arms of Nora Vega, a painter with a laugh like summer and eyes that saw Evelyn's soul. They'd met at a queer poetry slam, Nora's words weaving a spell that Evelyn couldn't resist. For 6 months they'd built a quiet life together, late-night talks, stolen kisses in Nora's tiny studio, dreams of a future where they could be open, free. But Evelyn's world wasn't built for freedom. Her family, staunchly conservative, rooted in a small Indiana town, had never understood her. Lila, her twin, was the worst of them. When Evelyn had come out at 22, Lila's face had twisted with disgust. "You're choosing this?" she'd spat, as if love were a switch Evelyn could flip off. Their parents had followed suit, their silence louder than words. Only their younger brother, Sam, had stayed by her side, sneaking her calls and letters when the rest turned away. The night of the arrest was a blur. A bar fight, a broken bottle, a man who wouldn't take no for an answer. Evelyn hadn't meant to hurt him, she'd only wanted to protect Nora, who'd been cornered by his slurred advances. But the police saw a queer woman with a rap sheet of minor offenses, and the judge saw a chance to make an example. Assault with a deadly weapon. 5 years. Nora had promised to wait, but letters stopped coming after 6 months. Evelyn didn't blame her. Prison had a way of breaking promises. Now Lila sat across from her, clutching that photograph like a lifeline. Evelyn's eyes narrowed. "What did you find?" Lila hesitated, then slid the photo under the glass. It was old, creased, showing 2 girls, Evelyn and Lila at 16, grinning in a field, arms around each other. Behind them, barely visible, was another figure. A girl with dark hair, her face blurred but familiar. Evelyn's heart stuttered. She knew that silhouette. "Is that?" Evelyn's voice cracked. "Clara," Lila said softly. "Clara Ruiz. Clara." Evelyn's first love. The girl she'd met at summer camp when they were 15. The girl who'd kissed her under a willow tree. Who'd promised forever before vanishing without a word. Evelyn had buried that pain, but seeing her shadow in the photo ripped it open. "I found her," Lila said, her voice urgent. "She's here, Ev. In Indianapolis. And she's been looking for you." Evelyn's mind spun. Clara here? After all these years? She wanted to laugh, to cry, to demand answers. But the guard's voice cut through. "Time's up." Lila stood, her eyes pleading. "I'll come back tomorrow. I promise." Evelyn didn't respond. She couldn't. As Lila left, the photograph stayed on the table, a ghost from a life she'd thought was gone. That night, Evelyn lay on her cot, the photo tucked under her pillow. Sleep wouldn't come. Clara Ruiz. The name was a song she tried to forget. At 15, Clara had been all fire, dark eyes, a laugh that echoed, hands that fit perfectly in Evelyn's. They'd spent that summer stealing moments, whispering dreams of running away to a city where they could be themselves. But Clara's family had moved abruptly, and Evelyn had been left with nothing but a broken heart and Lila's judgment. In prison, Evelyn had learned to guard her heart. She'd found solace in small things. Books from the library cart, sketches she drew on scraps of paper, and recently a quiet connection with Maya, an inmate who worked in the kitchen. Maya was 30, tough but kind, with a crooked smile and stories of her life in Chicago's queer scene. They'd never spoken of love, but their shared glances and brushed hands in the chow line felt like a lifeline. Evelyn hadn't dared call it anything more, not here, where vulnerability could be a weapon. But Clara's name changed everything. Evelyn's dreams that night were a tangle of memories. Clara's lips, Lila's sneer, Nora's fading letters. She woke with a question burning in her chest. Why was Lila here now? And what did Clara want after all this time? The next day Lila returned. She looked different, less polished, more raw. Clara's been searching for you since she came back to Indiana, she said, no preamble. She didn't know you were here. She thought you'd moved on. Evelyn's jaw tightened. And you? Why do you care? You made it clear what you thought of me. Lila flinched. I was wrong, Ev. I was scared. I didn't understand. She leaned closer, her voice breaking. I've spent 3 years regretting what I said. When I found Clara, I realized how much I'd hurt you. And I want to fix it. Evelyn wanted to believe her, but trust was a fragile thing. What does Clara want? She asked. She wants to see you, Lila said. She's coming tomorrow. The words hit like a punch. Clara here in this place? Evelyn's heart raced, torn between hope and fear. She didn't know if she could face her not after everything. But as Lila's eyes searched hers, Evelyn saw something new, remorse. For the first time, she wondered if her sister might mean it. The prison's air felt heavier the next morning, as if it knew Clara was coming. Evelyn paced her cell, the photograph of their teenage selves burning a hole in her mind. She could still feel the summer breeze from that camp, the way Clara's hand had brushed hers, igniting a spark she hadn't known was possible. Evelyn hadn't slept. Her thoughts churned: Clara's return, Lila's apology, Maya's quiet presence in the kitchen. She'd caught Maya's eye that morning, and the other woman's smile had been soft, grounding. But now, Clara was a storm on the horizon, threatening to upend everything Evelyn had built to survive. In the visiting room, Evelyn sat, her hands clasped to stop their trembling. The door opened, and there she was, Clara Ruiz, 28 now, but unmistakably her. Dark hair fell in waves over her shoulders, and her brown eyes held the same fire Evelyn remembered, though tempered by something new: sorrow. Clara wore a simple green sweater, her hands fidgeting with a silver ring. She sat, and for a moment neither spoke. You're here, Evelyn finally said, her voice barely above a whisper. Clara's smile was small, fragile. I didn't think I'd find you like this. Evelyn's throat tightened. Why did you look? Clara's gaze dropped. I never stopped thinking about you, Ev. After my family moved, I tried to write, but my parents, they found the letters. They burned them. I was 15 and I didn't know how to fight them. The words cut deep. Evelyn had spent years imagining Clara had chosen to leave, that their summer had meant nothing. Now the truth was a different kind of pain. You could have found me later, she said, her voice sharp. You could have tried. I did, Clara said, her eyes meeting Evelyn's. When I turned 18, I came back to Indiana. But you were gone off to college, then Indianapolis. I didn't know about this. She gestured vaguely at the prison walls. Evelyn's chest ached. She wanted to hold on to her anger, but Clara's voice, raw and earnest, chipped away at it. Why now? She asked. Lila found me, Clara said. She tracked me down at the community center where I work. She told me everything about Nora, the arrest, this place. She said you needed me. Evelyn's eyes flicked to the empty chair where Lila had sat yesterday. Her sister hadn't come today, giving them this moment. It felt like a peace offering, but Evelyn wasn't ready to accept it. Not yet. I don't need anyone, Evelyn said, though the lie tasted bitter. I've been fine here. Clara leaned forward, her voice soft but firm. You don't have to be fine, Ev. Not with me. The guard's warning came too soon. 5 minutes. Evelyn's heart raced. She didn't know what she wanted from Clara: forgiveness, answers, or something more dangerous. But as Clara pressed her hand to the glass, Evelyn mirrored her, their palms aligning like a promise. "I'll come back," Clara said. "Every day if you'll let me." Evelyn didn't answer. She couldn't. As Clara left, Evelyn's fingers lingered on the glass, her mind a tangle of past and present. Back in her cell, Evelyn found a note slipped under her pillow, a folded scrap from Maya. "Heard you had a visitor. You okay?" It read in Maya's slanted handwriting. Evelyn's chest warmed. Maya didn't push, didn't demand. She was steady, a quiet anchor in the chaos of prison life. Evelyn didn't see Maya until dinner, when they brushed shoulders in the chow line. "You look like you saw a ghost," Maya said, her voice low, teasing but gentle. "Something like that," Evelyn replied, managing a half-smile. She wanted to tell Maya about Clara, about the ache in her chest, but the words wouldn't come. Not here, not now. That night Evelyn dreamed of the willow tree, of Clara's laughter, of Lila's voice calling her name. She woke to the clang of cell doors, her heart heavy with questions. What did Clara want? Could she trust Lila's change of heart? And what about Maya, whose presence felt like a safe harbor in a storm? The next day both Lila and Clara came. The visiting room felt too small for the weight of their history. Lila spoke first, her voice tentative. "I told Clara about you because I wanted to make things right. I know I hurt you, Ev. I was wrong." Evelyn's eyes flicked to Clara, who nodded. "She's been helping me understand," Clara said. "About you, about what happened. I want to be here for you if you'll let me." Evelyn's throat burned. She wanted to believe them, but trust was a risk she'd learned to avoid. "I need time," she said finally. It's a lot." Lila's eyes shimmered with tears. "I'll wait, Ev. As long as it takes." Clara reached for the glass again, her voice soft. "Me too." As they left, Evelyn felt the walls of her heart shift, just a fraction. She didn't know if she could forgive Lila or let Clara back in, but for the first time in years, she felt a flicker of hope. The prison yard was a gray expanse of concrete and chain link, but to Evelyn it was a rare taste of freedom. She leaned against the fence, watching clouds drift across the Indiana sky, her thoughts a storm of their own. Clara's return and Lila's remorse had cracked something open inside her, and she wasn't sure she could close it again. Maya joined her, her presence quiet but steady. "You've been off lately," she said, kicking a pebble across the yard. "Wanna talk?" Evelyn hesitated. Maya's warmth had been her anchor these past months, their unspoken connection a lifeline. But Clara's face kept surfacing, pulling her back to a summer that had shaped her. "My first love showed up," she admitted finally. "And my sister's trying to fix things." Maya's eyebrows rose, but her voice stayed even. "That's a lot for 1 week." Evelyn laughed, a dry sound. "Tell me about it." Maya didn't push, just stood beside her, their shoulders close. Evelyn wanted to lean into her, to let Maya's steadiness ground her, but Clara's ghost and Lila's promises kept her tethered to the past. In the visiting room the next day, Lila came alone. Her eyes were red, her hands fidgeting. "Clara wanted to give us time," she said. "Just us." Evelyn's guard went up. "Why?" Lila took a shaky breath. "I need to tell you something. About why I reacted the way I did when you came out." Evelyn crossed her arms, her heart bracing. "Go on." "When we were 16, Lila began, "I saw you with Clara at camp. I saw you kiss her. I didn't understand it then. I was raised to think it was wrong. But I was jealous too. You had something real, something I didn't. I felt left behind." Evelyn's breath caught. She'd never known Lila had seen them. "So you shamed me because you were jealous?" "Not just that," Lila said, her voice breaking. "I was scared. Our parents, our town, they made it clear what they thought of people like you. I thought if I pushed you away I'd be safe. I'd fit in. But I lost you instead." Evelyn's eyes burned. She wanted to scream, to tell Lila how much her words had hurt, how they'd echoed in her head for years. But Lila's face open, raw, stopped her. "Why didn't you tell me?" she asked. "I was a coward," Lila said. "But I'm here now. I want to be your sister again." The guard called time, but Lila's words lingered. Evelyn returned to her cell, her heart a battlefield. She wanted to believe Lila, but forgiveness felt like a cliff she wasn't ready to jump off. Clara came the next day, her presence a quiet intensity. "I've been thinking about you," she said, her eyes searching Evelyn's. "About what we could have been." Evelyn's chest tightened. "We were kids, Clara. It was a summer." "It was more than that," Clara said, her voice fierce. "You were my first everything. I never stopped loving you." The words hit like a wave, pulling Evelyn under. She wanted to believe Clara, to fall back into the girl she'd been at 15. But prison had taught her to guard her heart, and Maya's quiet strength was a reminder of what she'd found here. "I'm not the same person," Evelyn said. "And neither are you." Clara's eyes softened. "I know, but I want to know who you are now." They talked until the guard interrupted, their words weaving a fragile bridge between past and present. Clara told Evelyn about her life working at a community center, helping queer youth, trying to make up for the years she'd lost. Evelyn shared pieces of her own story, Nora. The arrest, the way prison had both broken and rebuilt her. As Clara left, she pressed a letter under the glass. "Read it when you're ready," she said. That night, Evelyn opened the letter. Clara's handwriting was a time machine, pulling her back to summer nights and whispered promises. "I never stopped looking for you," Clara wrote. "I want a chance to make things right. Not just for us but for you." Evelyn's heart ached. She didn't know if she could let Clara in, but the letter felt like a step toward something new. In the kitchen the next morning, Maya noticed the letter in Evelyn's hand. "From your first love?" she asked, her tone light but her eyes sharp. Evelyn nodded, unsure how to explain. "She's complicated." Maya's smile was soft. "Love usually is." Evelyn wanted to say more, to tell Maya how her presence made prison bearable, how her laugh was a light in the dark. But the words caught in her throat, and the moment passed. Evelyn's world felt like a tightrope, each step threatening to tip her into the unknown. Clara's letter lay folded in her pocket, a weight she couldn't ignore. Lila's visits, Clara's promises, Maya's quiet presence, they were threads pulling her in different directions, and she didn't know which to follow. In the prison library, Evelyn found a moment of quiet. She sat at a worn table, sketching on a scrap of pap-era habit that kept her sane. Today she drew a willow tree, its branches curling like memories. Maya slid into the seat across from her, her eyes catching the sketch. "That's beautiful," Maya said. "You ever think about what you'll do with that talent when you're out?" Evelyn's pencil paused. "If I get out," she said. Her parole hearing was months away, a distant hope she barely let herself imagine. "You will," Maya said, her voice firm. "And I'll be cheering you on." Evelyn looked at her, really looked. Maya's brown eyes held a warmth that made Evelyn's chest ache. She wanted to tell Maya how much she mattered, how her presence had kept Evelyn from breaking. But Clara's letter burned in her pocket, and Lila's apology echoed in her mind. Lila and Clara came together the next day, their presence a quiet storm in the visiting room. Lila spoke first, her voice steady. "I've been talking to a lawyer, Ev, about your case. There's a chance we can appeal, maybe get you out early." Evelyn's heart skipped. "Why are you doing this?" she asked, her voice sharp. "You think it'll erase what you did?" Lila flinched but didn't look away. "No, but I want to try. For you." Clara's eyes were soft, pleading. "I'm helping too," she said. "The community center has resources, connections. We're fighting for you, Ev." Evelyn's throat burned. She wanted to believe them, to let hope take root. But prison had taught her that hope was a dangerous thing. "I'll think about it," she said, her voice tight. As they left, Lila slipped another photo under the glass, one of them as kids, laughing in their backyard. "We were a team once," Lila said. "We can be again." Evelyn stared at the photo, her heart twisting. She didn't know if she could trust Lila, but the image of their younger selves made her want to try. That night, Evelyn lay awake, Clara's letter and Lila's photo beside her. She thought of Maya, of the way their hands brushed in the kitchen, of the unspoken promise in her smile. She thought of Clara, of the love they'd lost and the chance to reclaim it. And she thought of Lila, her twin, who'd broken her heart but was now fighting to mend it. The next day, Evelyn found Maya in the yard, her face lit by the morning sun. "I need to tell you something," Evelyn said, her voice shaking. About Clara. Maya listened as Evelyn poured out the story: Clara's return, Lila's remorse, the hope and fear tangled in her chest. When she finished, Maya took her hand, her grip warm and steady. You don't have to choose right now, Maya said. Not Clara, not your sister, not anyone. Just figure out what you want. Evelyn's eyes stung. Maya's words were a gift, a reminder that she could still choose her own path. What if I don't know? She whispered. Then you take your time, Maya said, her smile soft. I'm not going anywhere. Clara's visits continued, each one peeling back another layer of their past. She spoke of her life, her regrets, her hope for a future where they could start again. Evelyn listened, her heart torn between the girl she'd loved and the woman she was becoming. Lila's visits were quieter, her presence a steady offer of redemption. She brought updates on the appeal, small victories that made Evelyn dare to dream of freedom. One day, Clara brought a sketchbook, sliding it under the glass. For you, she said. To keep drawing. Evelyn's fingers traced the cover, her throat tight. Why are you doing this? She asked. Because I believe in you, Clara said. And I want you to believe in yourself. That night, Evelyn drew in the sketchbook a portrait of Maya, her crooked smile captured in pencil. It was the first time she'd let herself admit what Maya meant to her. Not love, not yet, but something close, something real. The parole hearing loomed like a horizon, both distant and impossibly close. Evelyn spent her days sketching, her nights wrestling with hope. Clara's sketchbook was nearly full now, pages crowded with willow trees, Maya's smile, and Lila's eyes, each drawing a step toward understanding her own heart. In the visiting room, Lila brought news. The lawyer thinks we have a shot, she said, her voice bright with cautious hope. The witness from the bar's willing to testify that you acted in self-defense. Evelyn's breath caught. Freedom was a word she'd barely let herself think. Why are you doing this, Lila? She asked again, softer this time. Lila's eyes met hers, steady and clear. Because you're my sister. And I love you. The words landed like rain after a drought. Evelyn wanted to hold on to them, to let them sink in. I'm trying to forgive you, she said. It's just hard. I know, Lila said. I'll keep showing up. Clara came the next day, her presence a quiet fire. I've been thinking, she said, her voice low. If you get out, I want to be there. Not to push you, but to support you. Whatever you choose. Evelyn's heart twisted. Clara's love was a memory she cherished, but it belonged to a girl who no longer existed. The woman she was now had found strength in prison, in Maya's quiet presence, in Lila's redemption. I need time, she said, to figure out who I am outside these walls. Clara nodded, her smile sad but warm. I'll wait. The day of the hearing arrived. A cold morning that felt like the edge of something new. Evelyn stood before the parole board, her voice steady as she spoke of her regret, her growth, her hope. Lila and Clara sat in the back, their presence a silent promise. When the board granted her parole, Evelyn's knees nearly buckled. Freedom was real. Back in her cell, Maya found her, her eyes bright. You're getting out, she said, her voice thick with emotion. Evelyn nodded, her throat tight. What about you? Maya's smile was bittersweet. My time's coming. But you go live, Ev. For both of us. Evelyn took Maya's hand, her heart full. I'll write to you, she said. Every day. Maya laughed, soft and warm. You better. 6 months later, Evelyn stood in a small Indianapolis apartment, her first home as a free woman. Lila had helped her find it, her presence a steady bridge to their past. Clara visited often, their conversations a dance of friendship and possibility. But it was Maya's letters arriving weekly from the prison that kept Evelyn grounded. They were full of stories, sketches, and quiet hope, a reminder of the woman who'd seen her at her lowest and believed in her still. One evening, Evelyn sat on her balcony, sketching the city skyline. Lila joined her, a mug of coffee in hand. You okay? She asked. Evelyn nodded, her heart lighter than it had been in years. I'm getting there. Thanks to you. Lila's eyes shimmered. I'm sorry it took me so long. Evelyn reached for her hand, their fingers intertwining. You're here now. When Clara came by later, she brought a new sketchbook, her smile warm. For your next chapter, she said. Evelyn took it, her heart full. She didn't know if Clara would be part of her future, but she knew she was ready to find out. And when Maya's next letter arrived, Evelyn read it under the stars, her heart open to whatever came next. Her time in prison had been a crucible, forging her into someone stronger, someone who could love and forgive and hope. Lila's remorse had rebuilt their bond, Clara's return had rekindled a spark, and Maya's presence had taught her to trust again. Evelyn was free not just from prison, but from the shame that had once defined her. She was ready to live. Thank you for listening. Like and subscribe to get notifications about next videos.